And let's go to New Ellington and talk to Clifford and see if he's seen any crossbills lately.
Back Aiken way.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Clifford.
Hi there.
How are you today?
I'm pretty good. You?
Real good.
Doing well, thank you.
What could we do for you?
Hey, I have a question today. It's concerning blue heron.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a small water garden in the backyard. It's been there about 6 years now, and about 5 years ago I put some comets in it. They got fairly large, and they've been there all along. And I went out to feed them Sunday morning and discovered there was only 4 instead of 6.
Oh, yeah.
So first thing I thought of was maybe raccoons or some other kind of animal. And a few hours later I looked out, and there is a big blue heron standing there by the pond. It sort of sits under the trees a little bit, and I think, how did it ever find it? I'm in the country, and there's not any water, really near. But I guess my question is, I put a screening over the pond, which I do in the fall to keep the leaves out of it, even though it is small. But the herring actually put holes right in the screening. Thank goodness it's a vinyl-type screen, not metal, so I don't think the bird got hurt. He's been back. He was there again this morning.
Yeah.
And I guess, do I just sort of need to give the fish up to the bird and forget about fish, or is there something that will sort of keep those away?
Well, essentially, a lot of people run into this problem.
Yeah.
It's not a unique one, and the only surefire way that I found to keep blue herons from eating goldfish is netting the pond.
Mm-hmm.
So putting a net over the pond is about the only way to keep them out. Otherwise, it's like a feeding station for blue herons. I mean, they eat fish, and you put, we put out these bright orange and white targets out there, and man, it doesn't get any easier than that. And they're slow. Comets are really slow, and they're really easy picking. So it's about the only way to really get rid of them. I've seen people try to use scarecrows for herons, and it like most things that people put up for woodpeckers, anything else, it tends to work for a little bit, and then they get used to it. So hanging pans, things like that may work. They even sell down in Florida, they sell plastic alligators.
Yeah.
To put it, which is totally a joke. If you've ever seen a blue heron sitting on top of an alligator, like I have 4 million times, you realize that is not a very good way to keep herons from the pond. But netting it is the only surefire way. I guess the great thing is, there's gazillions of people who have goldfish, but not everybody has a blue heron in their backyard.
Right.
And they're a beautiful bird. I thought about, maybe I should just feed them.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Kind of expensive.
The
netting, do they just sort of give up after a while, or does it do it? He seems to put his head right through the screening.
Well, one of the things.
Holes right through the.
Oh, he cut holes through the screening.
Wow.
Oh yeah, went right through it.
Well, what I would suggest, and you were being very humane and thinking about the health of that bird and metal. But one of a screen that might work, you can have that finer screen underneath. You might try chicken wire. Mm-hmm. Because that's small enough so that bird can't get its rather sizable head and beak through it. But it's also not so hard that if that bird does try, that it's likely to injure itself. After all, we do use it with poultry and the like.
And what you'll usually find, people who screen off, and I used to do this all the time. I used to do ponds and things up in Raleigh, and we would chicken wire screen off, mesh off koi ponds, because I had some clientele that had a couple $1,000 koi in this pond that were getting taken out by birds. And what I usually found was that they sort of recognize a food source, and they'll keep coming back until the food source is gone, or until they're frustrated that they can't get to it, and then their pattern changes. Now it's going to change for the short term, but blue herons, all of our wading birds, really, they wander, particularly during the late summer, early fall part of the year, and they'll tend to find little places like this and put them on their feeding pathway. And habituate towards them if there's food. So it tends to be worse at some times of the year, better at the others. During breeding season, you're less likely to see this activity in a small piece of isolated water like that.
So eventually then he might give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's the hope.
doesn't mean he won't find it again.
Yeah.
Or another one won't find it again.
What you usually find is they tend to put it on a feeding route, and I see this at the garden. We have 3 major ponds at the garden and a bunch of little mud holes, and the heron is like clockwork at these places at a certain time of the day, all day, every day, because it's part of his habituated feeding pattern.
Well, it's like our backyard birds,
Yeah.
Finding feeders.
Yeah.
And so, it might be a great blue heron this season. Who knows? You may be graced by a green heron at some point. And so, again, it's where you live in New Wellington and living so close to some wonderful, wonderful wetland habitats. You really have the opportunity to view some kind of different things. But I think in terms of what Patrick has suggested for your backyard with the chicken wire screening, and then hopefully discouraging the bird eventually that can't get to the food resource so easily is probably the way to go.
Okay. Yeah, we have tons of birds in the backyard, but boy, this was quite a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Clifford.
you.
Thanks for the call.